And there we go. We are now recording and we are going live. Good morning, kids. HooDeeHooo! How the heck is everybody today? Hey, we've got a really special treat today on the Kong Family Show. Every now and again, we just get incredibly blessed, and today is one of those days. We have one of my heroes on the show today, and quite frankly, he should be everybody's hero because of the way he rolls and what he does and how he's so selfless and is working on getting rid of one of the most horrific things that's out there in our world today, something that, in my opinion, shouldn't even exist. We have today Mr. Bob Wright, the founder of the American Anti-Cancer Institute. He's the author of this incredible book, which is going to be a part of the discussion today, right here. This book, you know, Bob, I love this book because whenever I tell people about your book, I tell them, you know, it's called Killing Cancer, Not People. Ha! What a concept, huh? What a concept. Who'd have thunk? You know, who'd have ever thunk to have such a concept of killing cancer and not people? And, you know, reading your book, it was really quite a treat, but it was also a bit of a blood boiler to me as well. Much like when I read World Without Cancer by G. Edward Griffin clear back in the early 90s. It was a real blood boiler. By the time I was finished with that book, I was just so furious. And you know, I'd love to maybe touch a little bit on Royal Raymond Rife today if we have time. And if not, maybe we can touch on him at a later date. But I've been basically studying and learning about cancer ever since 1993. And I had never heard of Royal Raymond Rife or his technology until I read your book. And so that's just another part of why it's so important to get that book, kids, and why, you know, learning from it is going to be such a big eye-opener for you. But so, Bob, so happy to have you here with us this morning. And first off, I'd appreciate it if you could just real quickly give everybody a little bit of a rundown on, you know, how you came to found the American Anti-Cancer Institute, you know, maybe a little bit about your goals and kind of what Kong's water has to do with it. And then I'd love to get into some discussion about two of the most horrific poisons that there are out there that are literally getting shoved down our throats. And that's chlorine and fluoride. I've promised everybody some discussion about those two things today, because I think as time goes by, people are getting more and more interested, more and more concerned. And I'll tell you what, that chapter in your book was a tremendous eye opener for me. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to expand upon and what people can do about it and that kind of thing. So welcome to the show, buddy. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Once again, JJ, delighted to be here, and delighted to actually meet you when you came up to our event that we did at Holly Farms in Bothell. So my pleasure. Obviously, we're seeking to see as many people as we possibly can. We need to get this word out because, as you know, it's swept under the rugs here in America today because we're in the pocketbooks of conventional medicine now by telling people the truth and challenging them to look at what are commonly termed alternatives, but we think should be mainstream. I mean, when we start using things that God gave us to keep us well and to heal us when we're not, what's alternative about that? I think it's mainstream. It's what we all should be doing, and it's what we did until chemicals and radiation and all of these other things came into being in the late 1800s and early 20th century. And so I set out, 12 years ago or so, to basically expose the truth about cancer. And you hear that line a lot today, the truth about cancer. And my friend Ty Bollinger and his group are doing a lot of things with the truth about cancer. And I'm thrilled to see other people that are working with that. But our goal was to give people choices and opportunities that go beyond what we find in conventional medicine today, because we really know, everyone knows now that's not working. Sometimes it'll help someone along the line. We're grateful for that. Any way that people can choose and find to get well and healthy, we're for it because we just want to see people healthy. We want to see them well. But we know largely that allopathy doesn't work. It's never worked because you cannot use drugs to treat solely symptoms and see patients get well. It doesn't work that way. And the common thinking man should know that. But I set out, like I said, over a decade ago to tell people the truth about this. I studied and studied about it because I was concerned. My mom and dad had both died of cancer, and I wanted to discover what the cancer racket was really all about. And anybody who undertakes something of this magnitude generally finds things they don't expect to find. And that's exactly what happened to me. And so the book is an effort, and the AACI and the International Wellness and Research Center are an effort to expose this truth to people and give them options and opportunities that go beyond what they can get from their doctor in their local hospital and through drugs. And we're delighted to say that we've accomplished what we wanted to do. And people talk about the cure for cancer, and obviously we can't say we have the cure for cancer. If the hospital down in Seattle south of me can say that, and they don't have it. But if I said it, I'd be in a whole lot of hot water and a whole lot of trouble, and you know that. But we know what heals cancer today. We know what doesn't. We know what you have to do and what you shouldn't do. And this book is a compilation of all of those things. So I went on that quest to discover the things I've found and published in this book. And as you know, the one you held up is the new 4th edition, because we constantly have to update it. Not that anything in the book should go away or was bad, but there are new things that are very important for people to discover and find. So that's what I've done, and I've been delighted to do it. It's been just a fabulous trip. It's been a mission actually that God has put me on to tell people the truth. And in the final analysis, we all want to know the truth. Sometimes we don't like it much because it might go against what our current beliefs or what dogma is and what we believe today. But we really know that we need to know truth, because when we do, we can make better decisions and we can do the right things instead of the convenient things. And that's what we see today, people doing what's convenient, not really things that will help them and things that are true and right. And it costs them, and it will always cost them until they get to the point where they really seize on what is true. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'll continue to do as long as I can.
Yeah, amen. Same thing with me. I got to, at the end of that book, World Without Cancer, he says, you now have the ability to live in a world without cancer. And the only reason you have that ability is because someone out there somewhere was gracious enough to bring this information to your attention. And the next thing he said literally hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, can you do any less for others? And for me, I simply can't do any less for others. Every time I hear about somebody going the allopathic route, it just absolutely breaks my heart. It really does. It hurts. I hate seeing people suffer, especially from something as needless as this concocted disease that, quite frankly, wouldn't even exist were it not for the United States government. And I stand behind that 1,000% because it's a fact. And, like you say, you can't say anything about, having a solution or anything like that, but these pharmaceutical entities can just spew out their pie holes over and over and over again, all this stuff, and always with a big giant list of all kinds of side effects. And it's always boggled my mind since I read that book all those years ago, how what I really came out understanding was that it's just simply not in a doctor's best interests for you to be healthy. Because if you're healthy, they're not making any money, and so they really do. They hammer us hard in this alternative area that, it's just so neat to see somebody like you that's putting in such an incredible effort towards, getting the truth out there. And everything I'm putting out nowadays, it's always got the hashtag that says truth seekers unite. Because I really believe that we need to unite. The people who do care about truth, who do love truth, who want truth more than anything else, we need to unite and help each other. And so having you on the show, it's a great way to get more information out there to people. But for me, it's really something that is kind of out of a moral obligation. I want to help promote what you're doing because what you're doing is the right thing. It is the truth, and it is something that changes and saves lives, and that's what we're all about. You know, and so, but I want to get into chlorine and fluoride because they're pretty much everywhere. They're in everything. It's something that is literally being shoved down our throats. And I know that reading your chapter, you know, for everybody out there that hasn't read the book, he has a whole chapter that's dedicated to just chlorine and fluoride. And when I read that chapter and realized, holy moly, I had no clue. I really had no clue just how poisonous those two things are. And I would appreciate it if you could maybe expand a little bit on it for people that might intrigue them to want to get a copy of your book and go read the fine details of it and share that out. But what is it with chlorine and fluoride? Why the heck do they even think they need to put it in our water anyway?
You know, and that is the dollar question right there, the $10 million question. And they don't belong there, obviously. And the way that they arrived in our water and in our toothpaste and in other areas is really based on fraudulent activities. And they were sold to the American public by marketing schemes in order to try and get rid of waste, basically is what it was, because fluoride is toxic waste from the aluminum industry and some other industries. And it should never be in anything, let alone our water or our toothpaste. And I thought so much of this that when you read the book, as you have, JJ, you know that I made my list here, page 40, page 61, 68 to 72, 156, 158, 164, 167, 323, and 324, fluoride is mentioned, and chlorine on many of those pages as well. And let's get down to the brass tacks, and you can read more in the book, but Christopher Bryson, who I quote in the book, wrote just a wonderful essay, which is a book basically on fluoride and the history of fluoride, where it came from, why it got to us and got into our water and got into other things. And his book is called The Fluoride Deception. And I purchased that book and read it, and I think that everyone should. And it's outlined with some quotes in that chapter you talked about in the book. But you became astonished when you read it, just as I did when I read it, because we understand now, most people, that fluoride and chlorine probably aren't good for us. But when you read deeper into it, you understand that it goes way further than that, because fluoride is basically rat poison when you think about it, and it is actually used in rat poison. And yet we put it in our water and in our toothpaste. And chlorine is just as bad for us. And the problem is that fluorine and fluoride are unnecessary in our water. And chlorine is used because of price, when actually there are several other things like, what do I have on my list here? We could use ozone, we could use hydrogen peroxide, we could use sodium chlorite in our water, and do a much better job of basically purifying our water with no bad effects or side effects of using these things. But we don't do it because it's political. It's become a political football now. Fluoride is the same way. You know that most municipal water systems, probably 70 to 80% in the United States today, have fluoride in their water. Now, let's say, for instance, that they're taking a big truck of fluoride and they're taking it to the municipal water system, and the truck crashes on the freeway, and the contents of the big tank on the back of the truck are spilled onto the freeway. We need to understand that this now becomes a hazmat situation. In other words, you have to call in the guys in the white suits to come in and clean up this mess. And the highways are closed because fluoride is poison. But they have no trouble, if they make it successfully, to the municipal water depository, of dumping it into our water and allowing us to drink it. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But again, when you read the history of fluoride, you understand how it got there. And it's been so steeped in politics now that it has become hard for municipalities to get rid of it. But I urge everyone in every city and town to, take up that banner, that anti-fluoride banner, and tell people the truth about fluoride. We give our kids fluoridated toothpaste every day, and yet we don't bother to read the side of the tube that says if any more than a pea-sized amount is swallowed, contact poison control immediately. But of course, our children would never swallow a pea-sized amount of toothpaste, would they? Sure, they do almost every day. And so we are poisoning our children every day when we can go and find toothpaste that don't have fluoride in it, that don't have all these foaming agents and these poisons in it. But somehow, because of cost, because of lack of opportunity, because of unwillingness to seek a little bit further and seek the truth, we don't do it. And this is rampant in all of society and in almost everything we do. We become a society that is busy. And we have to understand that. We're very busy. We do many different things, but we don't always have our priorities straight either. If we're concerned about our children, and I would never accuse a parent of not being concerned about their children, because we know they are. They just don't know the truth about the food that they give their children, the chemicals that are in much of the food and much of the things like toothpaste and water that daily our children, as well as ourselves, are exposed to. That's why I wrote about fluoride and about chlorine. Chlorine is just absolutely ridiculous. It has, it should not be in anything that we drink or anything that we eat, just as fluoride should not. And yet we seem okay with it. As a society, we seem okay because enough people have not stood up and said, this is wrong. And it's not hard to discover why it's wrong, folks. Just do a little study. These studies are all over the place now. You can Google fluoride, the evils of fluoride. You can read Christopher Wright, Bryson's book and other people's books, and you can discover why this is so toxic and so evil and so bad for us. And I encourage you to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our big things is we're trying to get people to open up their eyes and realize they don't know what they don't know. But if you don't know what you don't know, the only way to find out is to try to know, right?
Exactly. I have one more point on the chloride. And the chlorine that we put in our water. And I mentioned it in my book, and this is critically important. We talk about cancer all the time and how to do the right things for cancer and how to heal cancer. But you know what? We're dealing with all chronic illness and disease now because they all have sort of the same traits and go in the same fashion. When we talk about acidity and inflammation and chemicals and toxins, they are related to all chronic illness and disease. But for people drinking chlorinated water, they have a 93% higher chance of contracting cancer than those who don't. I mean, I shouldn't have to say another word about that because the studies prove it. Enough said. Don't drink the chlorinated water. And we talk about Kangen water in the book a lot. We talk about ionized water. We talk about the science behind it, not just because we need good water. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But we need to understand what ionized water is and what it does for us by understanding the science behind it. But equally important, it gets us away from those drinks that harm us. The chlorinated tap water to begin with, the chlorinated water that comes out of your shower. Every time you take a hot shower, if you don't have a filter on your shower that takes that chlorine out, your body is sucking up as much as 8 glasses of chlorinated water during one shower. And worse yet, the steam in a hot shower, you're breathing that in. So that chlorine is going directly to all those blood vessels in your lungs, and you have poisoned yourself every time we do that. These are things we need to think about, and we need to dwell a little bit on, more so than just saying, yeah, that's bad for me, and then go back to doing it.
So that's something I wanted to discuss, because I didn't understand this until, of course, reading your book. But for people that are out there that haven't read the book yet, that need a little bit of a, they need a little bit of a kick in the butt to help them understand that, this is why you really should get the book and take a look and really learn and share. But so, okay, so you're taking this hot shower, you're breathing in this fluoride and fluorine and chlorine, and people might go, well, so what? What's the deal? Why is it a problem? Why does it hurt anything? Because I know that one of the parts of it that I'm still a little bit choppy on as far as my understanding, but from what I understand it, both of these things are really, they like take the place of iodine in a lot of instances in some way, shape, or form. And so why is that an issue?
Well, there's a number of reasons, of course, and chlorine and fluoride are just flat poisons, and they shouldn't be in our body. When we're breathing it in a shower, because there's so many blood vessels in the lungs, that goes directly into our lungs and our blood vessels and is spread throughout the body, all of these poisons, and we know that works. But here's the real deal about chlorine and fluoride. They are known as halides, which are poisons, and bromine falls into that category too. 40 years ago, some of our listeners may not remember that, but you and I do, JJ. We had a milligram of iodine in every slice of bread that we ate. It's good for us. We didn't have the goiters. We didn't have the thyroid cancer and the thyroid problems that we have today. But now bromine is in there. And bromine, again, is a halide like fluoride and chlorine. And what they do is they get in and they sit on the iodine receptors in the thyroid gland. And because of that, there is virtually no uptake of iodine anymore. And we have basically made ourselves a society that is severely deficient in iodine. Iodine is a health food. It's required for so many things that happen within our body. And I talk to women a lot. You have uterine fibroids, you have fibrocystic breast disease. You don't have enough iodine. And we have seen many of them just increase their uptake of good iodine. And suddenly those things go away. So yeah. These things.
So in that regard right there, if you could expand upon this just a smidge, there is a way that people can, because from what I learned in your book is that, 90+% of us, whatever, we're iodine deficient. How does a person find out? Isn't there like a real easy, cheap way that you can actually find out whether you are iodine deficient or not? And then if you are iodine deficient, from what I'm beginning to learn is that anybody who has thyroid issues, which apparently those are getting to be bigger and bigger and bigger issues every year, and people who do have those kinds of issues that listen in on this might be really important for them. This might actually change their life and save their life. But what does it have to do with the thyroid, and how do people find out? Mm-hmm. And then once they find out, how do they protect themselves?
Well, there's several ways to find out, but there's a real easy way to get a fairly certain determination. And of course, we want the iodine to get to the tissues. If you do a blood test and a lot of people will do blood panels and check for many different things in their blood, and you're low in iodine, which you may be, but at the same time, you may be said to be deficient in iodine. The same is true with other minerals like magnesium. Your blood panel might say that you fall in the normal range, but what gets to the tissues? And the fact is that almost all Americans are deficient in magnesium as well, and iodine. Magnesium is the master mineral. Iodine is the critical mineral that is needed for all those interactions I talked about in the body. And so we need to sometimes do down to the tissue level testing, and there are some labs that do that. But the easy test that you talked about, and I've done probably 1,000 of these at some of the talks I've done, is I take a bottle of tincture of iodine. I'm not saying that people should use this for their supplementation, but what I do is that people that are wondering if they're deficient, is we take their forearm, you just turn your arm over, you take your forearm and you paint about a 2-inch square on the forearm of this iodine. You know, you have the dauber in the little bottle and you're just, it's kind of a brownish yellow on your skin, and you're just painting it and filling it in. So it looks kind of yellowish brown on your forearm. And you don't have to worry about it staining you and lasting there, because it's not going to. And I can tell you that for almost all people. But don't get it on your clothes or anything, because it will stain. But here's the thing, you watch it then. And then, and keep in mind that I came from an age when we had a cut or something, that's the medicine that our folks would use for us. And they would put that on the cut or the scrape or whatever. Tincture of iodine comes in a little bottle. You can get it at your drugstore. It costs $3. It's very inexpensive. But you watch your forearm and watch what happens to that. And if it goes away, I mean, it's pretty solid when you put it on there. And within 24 hours, if it's gone, you can be pretty much certain that you're deficient in iodine. And what that tells you essentially is your tissues are sucking it up and sucking it into your body, because they need it desperately. And so in 24 hours, if it's gone, then you're probably deficient. And I can tell you that in all of these that I've done on people, I've never had someone tell me that it's lasted longer than 24 hours. That's how deficient Americans are. Now, it could happen. And I've had on my arm, it lasts longer than 24 hours because I take supplemental iodine. But most people become deficient because it's not prevalent in our food today, unless you're eating a lot of sea vegetables, unless you're eating a ton of iodized salt from the store. And I would not recommend that, because that's just pure sodium chloride and it's bad for you. I recommend that you do Himalayan salt or a full spectrum salt like that is actually a health food and good for you. But we're not getting enough iodine in our diet. And that's why people should supplement. We do that with the Lugol solution with Nashin iodine. I use prolamine iodine, which is an organic type. There's many different ways that we can get it. But when you discover that you are deficient, which most people will, then it's best to see a naturopath if you can, or you can start yourself slowly with the iodine. The thing is that so many people are so deficient that they would need up to some even 45 milligrams a day for up to 3 months, or 15 a day up to a year to become sufficient again. That's a lot of iodine when you know that the daily recommended allowance is less than a milligram. It's in micrograms. And so we just, most people are not allergic to iodine, but sometimes you'll find someone who is. If you get to be my age, or 30s, 40s, 50s or above, you would pretty much know if you're allergic to iodine. And so it's probably not going to hurt you, but I always recommend that people start slowly. I mean, don't say, oh, I'm deficient, it's gone in 3 or 4 hours, which I have heard before, that patch on the forearm, and they go and they take a whole bunch of iodine. I don't recommend that. I would say that you start slowly, just to see how your body utilizes it and how it reacts to it. The odds are it's not going to harm you at all. But like anything, if you overdo, you could have a Herxheimer reaction, a detoxification reaction, different things. So we want to go slowly. But I know that doctors have, and naturopaths have put their people on as much as 45 milligrams a day. I take 3 milligram tablets of prolamine iodine, not all the time now, because I'm more sufficient than other people would be. But start slowly, no matter what you do. But you can start even with micrograms, because when you go to a super supplements or somewhere and get a supplement there, no matter what it is, it's probably listed in micrograms. But you need more than micrograms per day. If you want to start with that, that's fine. but then I would advance to milligrams, and you can just do the math on that so that you get up to about 3 milligrams a day to start with. And then you can increase that over time. So you're working your way back to efficiency.
So when we're talking about iodine, it's another one of those things, as far as I understand, it's another one of those really important aspects of our health that's basically been systematically removed from our diet. Because didn't you just say just a few minutes ago that it used to be like any bread that you ate, it had iodine in it, and then it was replaced by, what'd you say, bromine or something like that?
Yeah, there's no money in people being well, JJ. No, we got to keep them sick. And yeah, our bread used to have a milligram of iodine in it, and not any longer. And bromine's another thing, like I told you, fluoride and chlorine. It's a poison, basically, but it's cheap, and that's why it's in your bread today. And here's the thing. If we could tell people anything today, I'd say get off wheat and gluten, all wheat and gluten products and all milk and milk products. And if you do that for 30 days, people say, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Just if you did those things. And so there's a reason why we, put the big X on bread today, is because almost all of the commercial bread that's produced is no good for you. You need to find a bread without wheat and without gluten. Wheat is not what it used to be. Wheat is a poison to the human body, and people need to understand that. And most people, say they don't have a tolerance or many people, for gluten. Well, most of us wouldn't, because it's basically a protein that is not good for us. And there are other things in wheat. I mean, it's all commercially produced. Look at the label on your loaf of bread. You want to eat all that stuff? I don't think so. So find yourself a good bread if you want to eat bread, an Ezekiel bread, maybe a good organic oat bread, or something without the wheat and gluten and all the junk in it. And you'll do far better. And I shouldn't have to talk about milk. Milk was meant for calves, not human beings. Although we have adapted ourselves to it, and we love our milk and milk products. We eat milk in all forms, or drink it in all forms, and we eat yogurt and ice cream and all of these things, and they're delicious. We love them, right? But they're really not good for us. So if you're going to do any milk or milk products, I would recommend that first thing you do is go out and get a bunch of the enzyme lactase, because everyone's lactose intolerant, whether they want to admit it or not. It doesn't affect everyone the same way, but after we're 2 years old and we're weaned, our body, most people, there are a few that this doesn't happen, but most people don't produce the lactase anymore. So we're all, if we're drinking milk, intolerant, because we don't have that enzyme that metabolizes the lactose. So, these are things we have to look at, and these are things we should eliminate or greatly reduce in our diets.
Interesting. One of our friends that is part of our family that's here in the room with us, she just put into the chat that she's hypothyroidism due to MTHFR, whatever the heck that is.
That's a gene, yeah.
And she says that she takes a thyroid hormone replacement and 3 drops of nascent iodine every day.
Mm-hmm.
She says that from her experience, RAI is not the best answer to solving our thyroid problems. We need our organs. And I would like to start an organization that will bring, wellness for health through hydration. What do you have as far as Marilyn is concerned in that? Because that's not only a statement, but it seems it's almost kind of a question, and that she'd, wonder what might be your recommendation as far as the best way to increase her iodine. What kind of recommendations would you do if it were you? Because we do know, if you read the book, what Bob says throughout the book, and I absolutely love it. He says, hey, I ain't no doctor. I'm just telling you what I would do. This is what I would do. You do what you're going to do. You do your own research. You do your own digging. You do, and you make your decisions. All I'm doing here is telling you what I would do. And I really appreciate that, because, we shouldn't have to have these these initials next to our names to be able to, you know, tell people what we would do. And so anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Marilyn, and I think Marilyn, I can see your picture up there. Yep, there you are. Okay. That we need our organs. And today doctors seem to think, well, your thyroid's not functioning correctly. Let's not look at what are the causative factors. These are the symptoms you have. It's not operating correctly. So doctors, bless their hearts, their basic solution to that is, let's get it out of there. Let's cut it out. And it's almost for everything. And so don't go to the doctor and say, doctor, I have headaches and can't get rid of them, because he'll want to cut your head off to get rid of them. And so it's a little tongue in cheek, but we have to understand that that's not necessarily the solution, is just to cut things out. We need our organs. I agree. But we need to stop the things that might be feeding those symptoms that we have. And we just discussed some of those, the fluoride, the chlorine, the bromine, and these types of things. Get rid of the wheat and gluten and these other things. I'm glad you're taking Nash and iodine. That's great. You probably need to take more. I don't know if you're also taking Synthroid or something along those lines, some of the drugs that they give people that have hypothyroidism, but I would be all for keeping my thyroid and doing the things that would allow me to do that. And that would be stopping the things we talked about, but starting some other things that may help us indeed. And Kangen water would be one of those, as far as I'm concerned, getting better nutrition in my body through some of the supplements that we talk about in the book. But also we have something new. Since you talked about the MTHFR gene, we're familiar with that. We're familiar with many genes that can affect, that we call actionable genes, the ones that can affect us. You know, we're not talking about your hair is brown because of this gene and your eyes are blue because of this gene. We're talking about genes that can be up or down regulated. And it's very important through the epigenetic systems. You cannot change your genetic makeup, but you can change your epigenetics. The genetics are your makeup. It's the computer of your body. But the epigenetics is the software. The software runs the hardware. If you don't have good software, you don't have a good computer that works well for you. And so the epigenetic systems we can work with. We are actually, let me grab something. I'm in my office here. And hopefully you folks, can you see that out there? Can you see that, JJ?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Nutrition. Whose name is on that?
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Wright.
This is a supplement that was created only for me. No one else in the world. This is not for anyone else. It's for me, and it's based on my genes, those 16 actionable genes that I talk about. In other words, we can do a swab, 2 swabs in your mouth, and we can read your DNA. And when we do that, we look at these 16 actionable genes that have what are called 18 SNPs on them. Potential. SNPs, SNPs is the acronym for single nucleotide polymorphisms. And what those are, some people would call them genes that are defective. We don't necessarily say that. We say that you have something that's different, an anomaly on your gene. Now, not everyone have anomalies on all of their genes. When I didn't have SNPs on all of my genes when I did my testing, but a number of them did have these SNPs. We can tell you who they came from. Did they come from one of your parents, both of your parents, or neither of your parents? We can issue a 37-page report to you, which we do, that outlines everything involving this DNA makeup of these 16 genes that, again, are actionable. And what that means is that we have the potential through nutrition to upregulate or downregulate those genes depending on what they need. And so based upon that, we can look at your genes and we can say, we have 400 billion different permutations that we can make your, 400 million, not billion, different permutations that we can make your nutrition from based on what we're reading in your genes and your SNPs. And we know what works on these different genes. If it's a gene for folate, you don't have enough folate, you have too much inflammation. That's what we're reading in these genes. And based on that, and we're looking, one of the actionable genes, Marilyn, is the MTHFR gene. Actually, two of them. And we look at both of those. And so this is something that you might consider. I think everyone should consider it because we've worked with a lot of supplements over, the past decade and a half. There's some good ones out there. And they contain good things that are appropriate for most people. So we could say, you should take this, everyone should take this, when it's probably right and has a lot of nutrition for almost all people. But it may not be just right for some people. So what if you could get something that is perfect for you? Basically perfect for you, not for anyone else, but just for you. So that's what, in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about when we say this. And so that, along with the stem cell patches, JJ, that you heard about, and I have one on the back of my neck right now because stem cells are an important thing today. Can we improve our health? Yeah, but can you pay $10,000 or $20,000 for something that might work? And the answer for most people is no. And why would I do it if it might work? Instead, we have something that's very inexpensive that we can utilize that activates your own stem cells and gets them dividing and moving throughout your body again. Because when you're my age, what did we say that was, JJ, 49 or so?
No. Yeah, if that, I think you're getting younger every year. I know that's what's happening for me. I'm getting younger every year.
You're actually right. You are right. I am, because I'm doing this. And I have stem cell patches. I've activated my stem cells because mine are 90% dormant now because I'm 69 years old. I'm going on 70. And I want to get them moving again. I want to get that copper peptide in my body moving again because it does 100 great things for my body. One of them is that it activates my stem cells. So we've got a plethora of things that happen when you simply put this patch like I have right on the back of my neck. There's nothing in the patch that goes into your body. It's not transdermal. It has inside the patch some peptides, amino acids basically that make up peptides, a tiny bit of sugar, but none of it goes into your body. It all works to reflect light that comes out of your body back into your body. A spectrum of light that you can't see goes back into your body. And that activates the nerves right underneath your skin, which in turn activates that peptide, GHK-CU. It's a copper peptide, a string of 3 amino acids that does wonderful things when it starts migrating throughout your body. We have it in our body, but not much as we get older. We need to reactivate that too. It helps with your skin. We've had women using this patch for 6 weeks and they look in the mirror and say, who is that? Because it produces collagen in your body and in your skin. It helps to repair you. It does so many things that I encourage you all, if you're interested, send me an email. We'll send you to Shelly, who works with our products. She'll send you a video that you can watch. It's only 3 minutes long. And if you're interested in both of these technologies, send me an email, info@americanaci.org, info@americanaci.org, and we will show you how these might benefit you. And if you have an interest, then we'll show you how to get them. I got them right away because these were really 2 of the missing things in our protocols that we really needed. We already have nutrition in our protocol, and it's wonderful. But what if we can get something just for you? And people are interested in that, and they should be. And the stem cells is a no-brainer for me. I'm not going to pay 20 grand to harvest cord stem cells, have them put into my body, which my body might reject, and then have nothing happen for me, nothing work for me. Some people have had success with that. I need to be fair. Some people have harvested their own autologous stem cells out of their bone marrow or out of their fat and had them cycled and put back in the body. And some people have benefited from that. I can't say they haven't. But all I'm saying is the process has not been perfected yet. And so we're kind of guinea pigs with that technology. Some people want to do it and some people have the funds to do it. And I say more power to you. Let me know how you do. Maybe 10 years from now, we'll have that perfected and more people can do that and it'll be less cost. But right now I can do it for pennies on the dollar compared to that. And I can migrate my own stem cells. And I can put nutrition in my body that's only for me and not for anyone else based on what my body says I need. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Rodgar, he just asked a question in the chat. He was asking what do you recommend? What is the best supplement? And I would say that you pretty much answered that already by saying that really the best supplement's the one that's designed specifically for you. And so we definitely want to make sure here, perhaps you can give me the information so that I can make sure to put it in the comments so that people can know, they can know how to get a hold of these entities. Because, and something I'd like you to explain to people that might not understand, what is a stem cell? What does it do? What's the gig with a stem cell? I bet there's people on here, and surely there's people that are going to be watching this later on down the road who have no clue what a stem cell is and what its purpose is. And so maybe you could elaborate on that just a bit so people can understand why those are important.
Good question. Stem cells are basically the beginning of life. We're formed from stem cells in the womb. And they're called germ cells. And when they're being formed, they're trophoblasts. And these are cells that can become any other cell in the human body. They can become eye cells, liver cells, skin cells, any types of cells. So these original cells, germ cells, not because they have germs, but because they're germinating in the body. So they're called germ cells or trophoblasts. And so the fetus is formed by these cells, which are based on all the nutrients and the fluids and everything passing through. They grow into any and all of these different cells, these 20 or how many billions and trillions of cells we have in our body. They grow into these and form the human body. So in essence, stem cells can become any cell in the body, and they are cells of life, cells that help us to live longer, because if they're constantly growing and dividing in our body, they are repairing our body, repairing our organs when they break down, repairing wounds, repairing everything that goes wrong with us if they're very active. And they're keeping us looking young. So as we age, they become more dormant in our body. So we look older, right? And we find that also we struggle to heal. I mean, when we're 5 years old or 10 or 20 years old, we heal pretty rapidly because we have all the resources within our body and all the stem cells to make that happen. But as we age, they become more inactive, and that's why we get old and we die. Now, this isn't to say if you get these stem cell patches and you activate your stem cells that you're going to live forever. That's not going to happen. But what we can do is give ourselves, we're all about giving ourselves a quality of life. That's why we're about eating the right foods, drinking the right fluids, the right water. We're about taking supplements. We're about detoxing the body and exercising. Why do we do this? To have a better quality of life, to live longer, to be active longer, to stay out of that wheelchair or that walker. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So now, if we can recalibrate, if we can get those stem cells dividing again and migrating through our body, what's going to happen? We're going to heal faster. Our skin is going to look younger because we're producing collagen, the most abundant protein in the body. We're healing our insides and our outsides. It can affect your vision. It can affect absolutely everything. We've heard testimonies that are just almost unbelievable, but they have happened, so they are believable. And of course, we make no claims. We can't make any claims for this, but the clinical evidence proves that these patches do exactly what they're supposed to do. They start activating our stem cells, get them dividing again and migrating throughout our bodies. That's a good thing. But they also activate that copper peptide. That's the, it's 3 amino acids, lysine, histidine, and can't remember the other one right now, but they have an affinity for copper. And what happens is that this thing starts migrating throughout your body too. And in addition to activating your stem cells, like I said, it does 50 to 100 other things that are all good for you. And so we need to do this. So these are proven things by clinical studies. This isn't something that I can just sit here and say, well, it looks good. I think it'll do these things. No, it's proven to do these things. Yeah. You wear one of these patches 12 hours a day. You take it off, you throw it away. You put a new one on the next day. And this is called the X39. This company has made these patches. The X39 is new. It has made glutathione patches, inflammation patches, different patches for years now. I wrote about it in the second edition of my book at least 7 years ago about the glutathione patches. And the X39 does most of what the other patches do, but we use some of the other patches too. We've heard stories about women with breast cancer putting a glutathione patch right where the breast cancer is, and mysteriously, the breast cancer went away. I can't say that that will happen for everyone, obviously, but it's nice to hear these stories. I wore what's called an Eon patch last night because it's anti-inflammatory. And all the patches are based upon different spectrums of light. You don't wear an X39, this patch, all day and all night because you don't want what is called attenuation. You don't want your body to get used to it so it doesn't work as well. That's attenuation. So you just wear it for 12 hours. But all of the patches work on different spectrums of light. So I could wear an Enon patch, a glutathione patch, an X39 patch all at once, and they wouldn't produce attenuation. I could wear the X39 during the day and the Eon patch at night. So there's different things, but you'll learn more as you study it, and I believe people should.
Yeah, well, it's all about giving people, giving your body. We should know. If we don't know, we should know that our body is really designed to heal itself. If you cut yourself, you don't need to do anything. You just kind of clean it up and it heals itself. And so it's the same thing with all of this. And what our goal is to give our bodies the best mechanisms so that our body can become its own mechanic, as I like to say, because all of these things are simply tools that our body utilizes, like we always talk about with the water, which is the foundation of, as many people that are involved with this have said, like Sam Tran, he said, why do I recommend it? It's because it's the foundation of life. It's 75% of your body, and so the other 25%, what's that? That's your diet, that's your exercise, that's your environment, that's your mindset. Those other things make up that 25%, and they're most definitely important. You know that, we know that, and we're trying to get the word out to people of, all those things are important, but ultimately the single most important component is having this electrolyzed, reduced water in our system so that we get the hydrogen and the electricity that's so important to all the functions that we're trying to get our body to do. But that's why I love having you on here, because it's not the only thing. Like Dr. Michael has said, is it the only thing? No, but it's 75%. That's a lot. And so what do we do? What's the other 25%? How do we protect ourselves? How do we give ourselves the best thing? And, like Rodgar asked, what's the best supplement? I think you did a great job of answering that. And we definitely want to make sure that all of this information and how people can get this stuff, Bob, that whether they get it through you, whether they get it through whatever the company is, or however that works, because I know that you're not a Kangen water distributor, but I do know that you also drink the water. And it's understandable why you're why you're not a distributor, and I definitely understand that. I don't know whether you're a distributor for some of these other products, but hey, you know what? Anything that is going to help people get healthy, I'm all about it. I'm all about helping spread it, promote it, get it out there so people can make educated decisions so that they can be healthy and they don't have to suffer, and they can actually live instead of just being alive. Because you and I know, we both know that there's a lot of people out there that are alive, but they're not really living too much, And
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people out there that are alive that, according to modern medicine, should not be. And that's because they did the right things. And let me say this on the water. I know that that you know a lot about the water, and the people listening, many of them do as well. But again, steeped in science. Yes, we're 75% water. Yes, we need good water. We need to get it to the cellular level. We need to get the oxygen and the hydrogen into the cells. We need to do all of that. Molecular hydrogen that comes from this water is so critically important. It is the important thing. And but we need that negative charge, and we need it because our cells will not heal unless they get it. And when we're not well, our cells don't have enough electrical charge, and that's why they're sick. And the quickest way to bring that cell voltage up again, that negative cell voltage, is drinking Kangen water. And there's no question about that. And so if you want to heal, you want to get better, it's why we recommend Kangen water, because of the science behind it. Not just because, yeah, Marilyn's holding up her water there. I have a clean canteen, but it's full of 9.5 pH water right now. And I drink the 11.5, and we recommend the 11.5. Let me retrace that. We don't recommend anything. We tell people what we would do in that situation. We don't write prescriptions. We don't do that. But we have seen people use that 11.5 water that even the Enagic company tells you not to drink, and it has helped them dramatically. I can't say it cures anything. No one can. But we know what it has the capability to do. And again, we look at the science. 11.5 pH, 100 times more alkaline than the 9.5. Much, much more electrical charge, negative electrical charge. Much, much more molecular hydrogen. These are good things. These are scientific things. These aren't things that we're guessing at. These are facts. And this is truth. And people need to understand that. And that's why we forward this water. And like you said, JJ, we don't make anything. That's not why we do it. But we've set up our online store, and we do market things now, because after 11 years, we decided, you know what? People will accept what we say now as truth, and it has veracity. So they know we're not doing it just to make money. They know we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And we got to stay in business too. And so we are marketing some things now, not Kangen water machines, but we are marketing other things, and like this nutrition. And here's what I want to say. Anyone who's listening today, if you want to know more and you want to know how to acquire it, you want to get the videos and all of the information, go to this email address, just Shelly, Shelly, Shelly at AmericanACI.org. At AmericanACI.org. Shelly's our products manager. She is the one who will get you all the information. If you want to then acquire these products, please go through her, because you will benefit tremendously. But so will the AACI now. I'm making no bones about it. I'm not apologetic for it, because we're doing the right things for people. We don't sell 1,000 things. We're not in business just to do that so that we see more commissions coming in. We're only going to forward the things that make sense for people.
Yeah. Amen, Bob. I've got to give it to you on that one, because quite frankly, we all need money. We all need money to keep ourselves in business, to keep our families in business, to keep our lives in business, especially as they continue to destroy the value of our money by counterfeiting it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and so we need to, like I was telling you earlier, all my posts, pretty much everything I post nowadays, it always has the hashtag of Truth Seekers Unite. we must unite with people that share our same ideas, our same goals, our same hopes, our same dreams, our desire to help other people. And that's what has been so crazy awesome for me over the last 2.5 years is people like you that I've been able to come in contact with because of joining the Kangen Water family.
Agreed.
And this is chocolate. So, hey, everybody's going to be interested in chocolate. What's this about, Bob?
This is another new thing, and I think you saw it as we introduced it at the Holly Barn. And you know, I've had many people approach me on chocolate and say, you know, this is really good. It's healthy chocolate. This is what people should be eating, right? We hear that all the time. And they've got all this good stuff in their chocolate. And I say, well, it sounds really good, but what does it taste like? Because if it doesn't taste good, it doesn't matter how good it is for you. People aren't going to eat it, right? Largely. And so I was approached with Nordy chocolate, Nordy chocolate, 3 different forms here. And I said, well, gee, this is the protein bar. It's dark chocolate. It has 9 grams of hemp protein in it. I went, wow, that sounds good. It has monk fruit in it, which is more, there's no calories in monk fruit. It's a sweetener, but it's not a sugar. It's a carbohydrate sweetener. It's also called lo hong guo. And we know it's the fruit is grown in Southeast Asia. It's wonderful for you. So there's no rise in the glycemic index with this. There's no added sugar in this.
So I'd like you to expand on that, because I know for me myself, I'm trying to find a good sweetener that I can put in my coffee that's not going to harm me. What is a good, because I remember you saying something in the book about a good sweetener that you can get. What can you give me that information so we can share that out with people?
Well, again, lo hong guo has been in the book for many, many years now. And it's basically known as a monk fruit extract. And you can actually go to Walmart and get it like you would buy stevia or something else in a container. And it's wonderful for you. And or you can get a good.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
Monk fruit or lo hong guo? Let's see, LOHANGUO, 3 words, Lo Han, HAN, like Han Solo, and Guo, GUO. But it's an extract of the, the fruit is called that in the East. We call it monk fruit.
Mung, M-U-N-G, mung?
No, monk, M-O-N-K.
M-O-N-K.
Monk fruit. But
monk fruit.
This also has enzymes and probiotics in it. When have you ever heard of chocolate having enzymes and probiotics and prebiotics, which feeds the probiotics? And it's kind of the fiber portion of it. And here's the thing, and I have to make this perfectly clear. There's 3 different bars right now, and we're looking into maybe even acquiring this company. We're so sold on this because cancer patients can eat this. Diabetics can eat this. I had one of these when I talked to the president of the company. I was in Australia at the time, and this is made in Australia. And I was talking to him on the phone and their distributor in North America, because they introduced it in North America. It's not available even in Australia right now. And I said, I'm eating your bar for breakfast. I have never eaten chocolate that I know of for breakfast before, but this is healthy. This is a healthy breakfast food, if you can believe it. But here's the thing. If you're one of those people like I was who loves milk chocolate, I eat very little of it because it's sugar. You know that. But the sugar is what makes it taste so good, right? Yeah. But if you love milk chocolate and you're not a big fan of dark chocolate, I have to confess, this doesn't taste the same as milk chocolate, but it's still very, very good. And it's good for you. And this will satisfy your sweet tooth. Here's another bar that they all taste a little bit different. This one is the classic low carb chocolate bar right here. Has all of a lot of the same basic ingredients in it that the other one did. This is the one produced for children. Get your children going on this. It has the monster. It's called the Classic Chocolate Monster Bite, snack size for kids. How much better is this for our children than eating M&Ms and Hershey bars and those types of things? Well, it's 1,000% better. Yeah. I want my kids eating this and my grandchildren. And yeah, I have a great grandchild now. I want them eating this. Yeah, Marilyn says she does too. Okay, but I want them eating this. And we have finally found something that is sweet, that will satisfy that sweet tooth, and yet it's healthy for you. It's just like salt when we discovered so many years ago, Himalayan salt or a good Celtic salt that is dug out of the ground with the 82 minerals or 84 minerals it's supposed to have. It's not sodium chloride across the board. Morton salt is sodium chloride. 99%. It raises your blood pressure. It's not good for you. But these full spectrum salts we talk about have the consistency, electrolyte consistency that your blood has. It's actually a health food and you almost can't eat too much of it. So we have the sweet and salty things taken care of for you now. And so, yeah, we're bringing some of this on board, and we're probably going to give away about in conjunction with the company, about $100,000 worth of this product. But we're trying to get it to organizations who in turn will forward it, you know, who will eat it and forward it. And so that's in the works now. But JJ and everybody listening, this is what we do. We're trying to find these alternative things that are true healthy things for people. That's why I recommend whole body vibration machines too. It's one of the greatest exercising machines in the world, and anyone can have one. People that are couch potatoes will get better utilizing these machines. And that's why we talk about in chapter 9 in the book PIO, Precision Intestinal Oxidative Hydrotoning, the best form of detox in the world, bar none, down to the cellular level. We have these things, and yet so few people know about them. That's why I wrote the book, to try and get the word out there. So anything any of you can do to help us get these books into the hands of people so they have an opportunity to see that there's something else they can do instead of walking into the doctor's office and walking into the hospital and having procedure after procedure done. Some of them are necessary once in a while. I will agree with that, but not wholesale like we're doing in our country today and just taking drugs to solve problems.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for everybody out there, the best way to get your copy of Killing Cancer Not People is to go to killingcancernotpeople.com. And right there, you can buy the book directly through the American Anti-Cancer Institute. And, you know, from what I understand, Bob, any of the proceeds that get made from the sale of this book, that it all reverts back to the AACI to help them grow, to help them continue to, you know, to work on this incredible mission, this incredible thing that you guys are doing. It's absolutely fantastic, and I love it. And I know that with Christmas coming up, that I know I'm planning on purchasing a box or two of these things to give out as Christmas gifts this year, because I just can't think of anything better that I can give to people as a gift that would literally, if they'll read this book, it will change their life. It will change their thought processes. And you never know, we just might save their life. And, you know, so I, for one, that's one of my plans for Christmas gifts this year, is to be giving away a bunch of these books to people that I feel need it, that I love. And
bless you for that. And they can, people also that struggle with that address or something, the killingcancernotpeople.com, you can go to Amazon now. We set up with Amazon, so you can find the new 4th edition. Make sure you're getting the 4th edition, because some people are selling the 3rd edition. You can even find a 2nd or 1st edition probably on Amazon, but you want the 4th edition is what you want. And perhaps the next time we talk, we can talk about these things. You'll see next to my Fitbit type watch, see that little band I have, that frequency biodot in the middle. 5G is coming, folks. It's going to destroy us. That's how bad it is. It's a millimeter wave. It's going to be on almost every building, and it's going to go right through us. And unless you have protection, it's not going to be good for you. It's radiation, pure and simple. With these new biodots and these things we have, and they're on our website. You can get them there now. You can get them in pendants that go around your neck, and there's a frequency from this. I put it right next to my router at times. Set it here by my computer, and so because it harmonizes the radiation through that frequency, and the studies show us that it does 95% harmonization of this radiation. We have pyramids that you can put in your house. It'll protect the whole floor of your whole house that has these things in the middle of it, like crystal pyramids, all kinds of different products. So we need these too. But this is just another example of what we're doing to try and help people and protect people and keep them healthy, because radiation, chemicals, they are the culprits that we're dealing with, and we need to do something about it.
Yeah. You know, that's another aspect of it all, Bob, is that, you know, it's one thing for us to go and point out what the problems are and to point out the different poisons and the different this, that, and the other that's harming us. And it's a completely a different and even more important aspect to give solutions. Because if you're just spouting problems without giving solutions, all you're doing is just really destroying people's mindsets. Because if they're just like, oh, all there are problems, well, why bother? But the truth is, there are ways that we can protect ourselves, protect our families. And, you know, this 5G thing is a huge, huge thing that we here at the Kong family are very concerned about. And I want to teach people how they can protect themselves. And so, yes, I'd love to reschedule another time as soon as possible to have another episode and talk about that, to help people understand why this is so bad. I mean, I was at the Red Pill Expo 2 weekends ago, and they had a guy from this industry showing a memo from Verizon Wireless to all of their stockholders and their shareholders saying, hey, we're going to be busting this out, and we expect it to cause a lot of health problems. We expect to be getting sued. We expect to be losing these lawsuits. And, you know, we expect this to be killing people, and we expect to be getting sued over it, and we expect to be losing these cases. And we just wanted you guys to know, but we're going to go ahead and bust it out anyway. And so, you know, it's just like the craziness of it all. It's just insanity. But the great sanity of it all is that we can protect ourselves. We do have the things that we can do. We know what we can do. And if we know what we can do to protect ourselves, we have a moral obligation to get out there and share that information with other people. And you know, like my buddy a long time ago said to me when I gave him this book, World Without Cancer, he comes in screaming at me one day, Jay, you gotta prove to me that this is real. And I go, Dwayne, I don't have to prove anything to you. I gave you the book. I'm going to eat my apricot kernels. I'm going to do what I can do. You do. I gave you the book. I don't have to prove squat to you. I've done my job. I've done no less for others. And that's what you guys continue to do every day. And it's absolutely a blessing to the world, my friend. And I'm so blessed and so grateful that you're willing to come here, take your valuable time to come and meet with us and help us understand all of this stuff. Help us understand what we can do to win this thing, to be able to live healthy. And so I look forward to having more of these discussions as time goes by. And right now, this 5G thing is something that is going to be really bad, and they're even admitting it. And but we can protect ourselves against it. And I want to know how, and I want to show people how. And you know, there's always a solution. And one of the things I live by is that there are no problems, there are only solutions. And that's what we are. We're the solutions to people, and in our best capacity that we can be. And I just love you, and I love what you're doing, and I'm so grateful, so blessed that you're part of this family and doing what you're doing. And I want to thank you, and I want to do everything I can to help promote your incredible organization that you've created, because I just want to help people. I don't want to see people die the kind of lives, you know, live the kind of life and die the way that my mom did. I believe that if I would have known what I know now, that my mom would still be here with me. And so that's my driving force and why I do what I do. And I'm just grateful to be on this mission with you, buddy. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And everybody sign up for our newsletter. It's free. It comes electronically around the first of the month. Just go to our website, americanaci.org, and sign up, and you can keep in touch with the things that we're doing. We're working with people that we think we might have a solution to those people that have glaucoma, that have other eye problems, pressure in the eye problems, and those types of things. We're seeing some good results. How about floaters? We're working on that now too. We might have a solution to that. Actually, I'm testing this right now, so we'll see. But you know, we're working on not just the big things, but what some people might consider the small things. And but to some people, they aren't small things; they're big things. You know, whether it's glaucoma or whatever it is, and we have to understand that, and we do. People have acid reflux, and they're taking these purple pills, and they're killing them. They don't know it, but they're killing them. And there's a simple way to get rid of that GERD, that acid reflux, a simple way, and yet people don't know about it. So these are things we can continue to talk about too as we move forward.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking way forward to that. And I figured that just before we head out of here, get on with our days, I figured you might really dig this. This is from a dear friend of mine, Yvette Allen. She says, my daughter did exactly what Bob Wright is recommending, and she healed her hypothyroidism. Her doctor didn't know what to say when she went in to have it tested after 6 months. He was dumbfounded because he wanted her to cut it out. 6 years later, she still has a healthy thyroid. And that's got to make you feel good right there.
Send me that testimony and we'll get it in the newsletter. Absolutely.
I will go ahead and forward that to you. It's actually in the live feed comment section, and I'll copy it and email it over to you. And then perhaps we can take a look at your schedule and schedule another sure. date and we can do a little bit longer promotion of it. And, you know, get more people in here, get more people, because the more of us that know this, the more of us that share this, the more impact it's going to have as time goes by. And I love meeting with you. I love getting a chance to pick your brain and hear what the latest things are, and just everything we can do to change the world. Because after all, we are the Conk family, and we're here to change the world. One glass of hydrogen-rich, oxygen-saturated, incredibly hydrating 9.5 at a time, one lightning bolt in a box, one extremely incredible guest with awesome information, one awesome family at a time, you know, one fun show, and, you know, getting the information out there. That's what we're doing. We are changing the world. People might think it's crazy, but the truth is we get to see it every day. Every single day, if you're tuned into this whole situation, you're seeing worlds changed. Just like that story right there by Yvette, that's another world changed. And, you know, it all starts with us as individuals. We change our own world, and then we can turn around and help other people change their world. And the more of us that do that, the more the world changes, because people are waking up. People are starting to understand. And that's why we're taking such backlash right now from the Fraud and Death Administration and that kind of thing. It's because we are putting a dent in their pocketbooks. We are putting a dent in their little program, and we are making a difference. And that's how we know that we are making a difference, is because we are getting hammered. We are taking the beatings from the other side. And for me, I'd take that and wear it like a badge of honor, baby, because I'm happy to know that that they don't like what I'm doing, because I sure love what I'm doing, and I love what you're doing, and I look forward to continuing to share the truth. And you know, truth seekers unite. We need to unite. And Bob, thank you once again. God bless you and your family, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and great holidays. And you know, we'll talk some more here through email, and I'll make sure to get all this stuff shared out so that everybody can get a hold of you, that they can utilize the things that you have available and help to be able to keep you guys in business. Your mission is so dang important that we simply must help. We must do what we can to help you to keep this thing going. So
send me a copy of this too, so I can we can get this into our newsletter, the link as well.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be it's been recorded, and I'll have the YouTube recording up, and I'll make sure to get you the link, and of course you can feel free to share it to your heart's desire, to anywhere and everywhere you want. And because we got to get the truth out there, buddy.
Amen.
So thank you all. Thanks to everybody that's out there on the live side. Thanks to all of you for being in the room with us today. Marilyn, Rodgar, Alice, HooDeeHooo, and of course you, Bob. So everybody,
Marilyn's trying to say something here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to personally thank you, Bob. I have been introduced about you and your book through Ann Minke, who is my mentor. And she has reached my heart so much. She even came here to Michigan, to Bay City, Michigan in February to see me and do a presentation with me. And ever since then, my health has been up and down. I'm still having some issues. But if it wasn't for you reaching out in that book to me about we can change the world, we can change our health, we don't have to live in a sick body. There's no reason we should live in a sick body. And I could have been one of those goners 4 years ago. I lost my sister to the same thing in 2013. So now it's my mission is I want to reach out just like you are. And I just don't have the sources here in Bay City to help me get it going. So I'm like, how do I do it? How do I do it? Well, I'm going to keep continuing to stay focused on you guys, because it's helping me believe I can do this.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Thanks for being here, Marilyn. Love you. Love you so much, honey. Appreciate everything you do.
You too.
I'm glad to see you getting better, you know, because I remember when we first started talking, you were going through a lot of issues, and it's really neat to see the transformation. And
yeah,
you know, I know this kind of thing makes Bob feel a lot better. You know, that this is the kind of thing that helps us realize that we are in the right spot. We are at the right time. We are doing the right thing. Yeah. And, you know, we can't lose. When you're doing the right thing and you're sharing the truth, you just simply can't lose. You just got to keep on keeping on. And we've got a great thing going on here, kids. We are going to change the world, just like our little slogan says. We're here to change the world, and we're making it happen. And so, you kids,
1 ounce, 1 cup, 1 gallon of 9.5 at a time. That's
Amen. One lightning bolt in a box and one big old hug like this. Do not forget your hugs, kids. These things are important. You need your hugs.
Have a blessed Thanksgiving.
Love you guys so much. You guys all have a great rest of the weekend. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And get out there. Change the world, starting with your own.
Amen. Thank you.
Love you, kids. Bye for now.
Bye.
Hey, JD.
Love you guys.
Love
Love
you
you
guys.
too.
Bye
Bye
for now.
Bye.
Take the account.